Welcome back to Curious Conversations. Our guest today is Andrew Joseph. Hi, how are you doing today?
Good evening. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great. So, we're about to explore one of your papers, Ethical Perspectives of Therapeutic Human Genome Editing from Multiple and Diverse Viewpoints, a scoping review. But before we get into that, can you tell me a little bit about your background to where you are right now?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So, like you said, my name is Andrew. I am currently a third-year medical student at Nova Southeastern's College of Osteopathic Medicine, and my undergraduate studies actually was in biomedical engineering and a minor in biochemistry at Georgia Tech. And I've always kind of had a desire to pursue research. And so it's a privilege to be able to talk to you this evening about this. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course, it's our pleasure. So, let's go ahead and dive right into your paper then. What initially drew you to the subject, and what sparked your interest in the ethical implications of human genome editing?
Yes, ma'am. So, in the world of medicine, there's always going to be those advancements as far as how can we treat um, pathology? How can we further prolong the lives of individuals? And there was a individual who back in either 2016 or 2018, where there were these twins and they were very elevated likelihood of having HIV. And so this physician, or this researcher, I should say, went in and actually altered the genetic code so that they would not have that preponderance to contract HIV. Now, this sparked a huge controversy because this was the first time that anyone actually had done something of this magnitude for humans. Of course, genetic engineering and modifying has been going on for quite some time, but this is the first time that it has been shown in humans. And so this sparked a tremendous, almost worldwide um, controversy about, is this something that we should explore to help our patients, or what are the implications of that? And so the team with whom I had the privilege of working on this, who are Monica Cureus, Yaseen Ramadan, Ernesto Joubran, and Dr. Robin Jacobs, we really wanted to dive in and explore different and diverse viewpoints and see, like, where are we and what do we need to do to try to figure out if this is something that's going to be a um, a future treatment modality, or is this something that's completely off the table? And so that's what we ultimately inspired us to pursue this research.
Absolutely. And you're talking about Lulu and Nana, right? The twins from China?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yes, ma'am.
wonderful. So, why exactly then is it important to examine the ethical perspectives from various viewpoints?
Absolutely. So, in the world of medicine, there is, it's not just about, can we treat this patient and how are we going to treat this patient, right? Every single advancement in medicine has always faced a certain level of controversy. And so the way that we identify that controversy is by pursuing tests, clinical trials, and ultimately trying to see if it's something that the general public would accept as accepted in medical practice. As the old adage is, it's a medicine is an art. It's not just a science, right? And so that art form is also taking into account your patient's perspectives, their viewpoints, their values. All of these things go into the equation as far as how can we best treat the patient. And so we thought that the best pillars that we could on which we could rely as far as ethical perspectives were those in religion, philosophy, public perspective, and also research ethics. And we believed that those four diverse vantage points could allow us to get maybe not the complete picture but rather start concocting what the overall consensus is of human genome editing.
Fantastic. And so now can you just take a minute and walk us through your paper?
Sure, absolutely. So the core of this paper is discussing what are the perspectives that are on genome editing, specifically therapeutic human genome editing. And so we conducted a scoping review. And so we decided to choose very specific parameters, mainly um, making sure that we are only looking at literature in the past 10 years. Even though that actual experiment happened in 2016, we wanted to go a little bit past that in the past, just to make sure that there was anything additional on human genome editing. And so we had conducted a brief scoping review and took a list of about 4,500 articles and then shrunk it down to about 27 in which they described either research ethics, philosophical perspectives, public perspectives, and also religious aspects of what they were describing about therapeutic human genome editing. We chose to make sure that we allowed for all perspectives to be included, well, as many perspectives as possible. And so we did not limit it to just the United States, because this is not a treatment that would only occur here in the United States. This could be something that goes around the world. So we made sure to identify articles that were talking from the North America, from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, even from the Oceanic region and South America as well. Now, granted, there is a huge stipulation here. Just because we were able to identify multiple articles from different parts of the world does not mean that we had every exhaustive perspective included in this. That would be quite the task. But we just wanted to identify articles that described this. And so once we identified those 27 articles, we dive into each of them and compare them and identify any similarities or differences as far as different types of philosophical perspectives, religious perspectives such as Christianity versus Judaism versus Islam, public perspectives from different parts of the world, and also research implications as well. And so we really try to do as good of a job as we can to try to synthesize and come up with conclusions to identify what the world thinks of therapeutic human genome editing.
Perfect. That sounds great. And after
Thank you.
publication, what do you foresee as the implications of the study? Do you foresee any debates or areas of overlap arising as a result of this new technology?
The dream the dream with research, the fact that is published is within itself a privilege, and I can't thank Cureus enough for publishing this work. But something that's even, at least in my humble opinion, even higher of an higher um, ranking, I would say, in my mind, is if it actually were to be talked about. There's countless number of researches that get to be published, but it's not always every day that a publication gets discussed. If this were to spark any additional conversation, or if there were to be, future regulations that come with human genome editing, I mean, um, that would be nothing short of a privilege, to be perfectly honest with you. But I do hope that people take the time to, regardless of if it's strictly therapeutic human genome editing or even any other advancement in medicine, that it comes with, what are the implications of it? Is it, not only is it going to work, but is it also safe? What are the side effects of it? What are the ramifications of it? And how will it mirror or clash with my specific beliefs, my specific values, and my perspectives? And so I think what would be fantastic as as the community as a whole in this area comes together with individuals who are leaders in, say, religious groups, or research ethic developers, or even those in philosophy, and say, hey, there's this new technique to be able to treat, and we can even foresee if the individual has that increased risk. I think it would behoove those who work with therapeutic human genome editing to talk with those leaders and see, if it's something that can work. Is there any way that there can be compromise, or if it's just something that needs to be taken off the table immediately? And so it would be the goal, to make sure that this is not only safe, but also is acceptable in practice.
That sounds great, and that's a wonderful perspective to have on this very, very timely topic. So with all that being said, what work do you have planned for the future?
Oh, I'm privileged enough to be able to have one project that's actually being reviewed right now. A team of Nova Southeastern students, who all are very bright, and there's quite a few people on this project. I can't name all of them, unfortunately, but it's actually being submitted to Cureus. It's a do-it-yourself, minimally invasive laparoscopic, um, uh, basically laparoscope, to help future surgeons be able to practice laparoscopy, but without having the burden of a huge cost associated with it. And so, with the actual endoscope and with all of the hardware associated with it, we're able to make it for just under $200. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for joining us today on Curious Conversations.
Thank you so much, Shreya. Again, I really do appreciate it.